I said, okay, I'll go and look for Prof. He said, yeah, go and look for him. Go and look for him. So that was the story. And that's how it ended. And Okoye lost the speakership, the third most important. Bagbin says he's number 3. Remember, Bagbin has told us number 3 is not a joke, it's number 3. The third most important position in the government was lost to treachery. But nobody said, I didn't even hear that word. Nobody said treachery. Everybody started suspecting. Is it Adjo Asafo? That's what they said. I don't know who it is. Is it that person? Is it that person? Is it that person? All of that conversation went around. Michael Okoye went quietly home. President Akufo-Addo came to address the parliament. He urged unity. They continued to beat the majority caucus. Nobody started pointing fingers. Somebody has gone to collect bribe and somebody has taken money and somebody has taken this and somebody has... You see this. Ghana president urges unity after scuffle in parliament. That's what he did. He didn't come and issue a statement crying and bleeding a treachery of my party and somebody has committed treachery. Put Okuye to a black West post there again. Some blade is sharper than treachery blade. What is all that? Do we have politicians who are not as matured as they ought to be? We saw what they are calling treachery occur in January 2001. Nobody did you see President Akufo write Facebook post? Akufo-Addo could have called Gabi, bring me your best English. And where is Upon Kruma? You two come, bring your best English. All of you come. Abu, let's type. And they would have said, treachery has given the speaker to it. Why? Are we children? Are we not matured politicians? Parliament's vote goes against you. And there is no knife that cuts so sharply and with such poisoned blade as treachery. The nice English, though. I thought I was reading Othello or something like that. Nice English, I have to say. But what's the point? Okay, let's move on and listen to what President John Mahama's response. After that, I will show you Dr. Duffour's response. You see how Dr. Duffour is quickly trying to occupy the position of sensibility, morality, equilibrium, and all of that. Let's first look at the former president. Here he goes. He says, a couple of weeks ago, our NDC group in Parliament announced a principled position not to approve any new ministers until the president has taken steps to significantly reduce the size of his government. This position was supported by a broad section of Ghanaians and public advocacy groups. Unfortunately, Ghanaians were sorely disappointed yesterday when several members of the minority, for some parochial, this shouldn't have been a statement. This is so wrong to come from a leader like that. Minority for some parochial and personal interest. Oh my goodness, this is so bad. To conclude that there was parochial and personal interest, voted against the principal position. I keep saying that the advisors of President Mahama, you should never allow a president to issue a statement like this. Never. It should never happen. Go and check. I always talk about it. They never listen. President Mahama's handlers, who are they? What is wrong? You should never, ever allow a person who has carried the office of president issue a statement against his own members of, some of these members of parliament, I don't know who they are, some of the 30 or 20 who may have voted against the NDC. Some of them may have slaved for President Mahama in one election or the other. Maybe you go to the constituency, they have a brutal story where on election day they had to do certain things to ensure that the presidential vote rises. You, as a president, you've won 5 million votes, 6 million votes. You should always be careful how you speak about anybody, because anybody could have been one of the 5 million. Worse of it, you're members of parliament, and then you call them parochial and personal interest. My goodness, I was so shocked, dramatically shocked. I said, where are we going with this? You see, I keep saying, it's not NDC or MPP, it's the quality. When Hearts and Kotoko play, those of us who watch the great days of Hearts and Kotoko, you go to the stadium, and I was telling a colleague recently that when we started going to the stadium, I'm a Kotoko fan. In fact, when I was appointed as a PRO for Asante Kotoko in the early 2000s, at that time there was this high five and all that on social media. Was not like today, but there were some things they were doing. Friends in America were calling me that people say they know you and that you're a Hearts fan. So why are you doing a Kotoko job? That was the beauty of how we watched football in those days. Because I'm a Kotoko fan, I go and sit in the Hearts people, and we are watching the game together. We are speaking Gan. And when the Hearts person plays well, you find that all of us are clapping. We go to the stadium. Kotoko people know that Shamokwe is a great player. So House of Folk lineup, they have Nana Beyin, Datsun in goal, Usman Usaki, Usman Uidi, flanks, left and right. They have Joado, my favorite player. They have Emmanuel Senegal. That's the defense is done. And then they have Sola Ayu, Abedi's brother, great player. And then the forward was just admirable. Yao Preko, Godwin, Ablode, Olabode Williams, Shamokwe, Mohamed Polo. I have never seen a forward line that can play football in Ghana like that forward line. Yao Preko 7, Ablade 8, Olabode 9, Shamo 10, Polo 11. Oh my goodness, that was it. So I'm sitting there watching a Haas Kotoko game. Mohamed Polo does something with the ball, and the Kotoko stand up and they are clapping. That is what we want. We want Kotoko to win. Haas want to win. But when Joe Debra turns the ball around in a certain way, they know that this is football, and they clap. So we want NDC to be solid. MPP to be so. We want to be like the Americans. They can brag about their politics. We don't want this kind of thing. That a president issues a statement discussing what has happened in parliament. Then he says he's making a value judgment, a negative value judgment on his members of parliament. A president, his handlers must do something about it. It is getting very, very bad. You must do something about it. You cannot let President Mahama be exposed like that. Handlers, I beg you, Joyce Bauer, Dr. Maniboma, do something about it. You can bring the South Africans who helped you to win the 2008 election. They will show you that you can't write this as a president. You cannot do that. What is this? It's some parochial and personal interest voted against the principal position adopted by the party. I am also disappointed. Those responsible for this betrayal, he calls it betrayal, the language of everybody, the language of the radicals. John Mahama, the moderate, is now being compelled to use the language of the radicals. He says betrayal. I am disappointed that those responsible for this betrayal must do something, some serious soul searching, and learn to place national interest over personal interest. Really? Wow. Okay. I'm not surprised that Dr. Duffour took advantage of the deficit in the statement. I'm not surprised. If I were him, I would just have said that, look, John Mahama's handlers have caused him to issue a very poor statement. Let's quickly take advantage of. I'm sure that's what happened. And here, see what Dr. Duffour wrote. Let's get to the Duffour statement. Let's compare that one. They'll put it up in a minute. Duffour statement is coming, and then we proceed. This is what Dr. Duffour said after President Mahama has written that. Let's see it. He says, it is clear that our country is in an extremely difficult position, and downsizing the government is in the interest of the public. However, I would like to caution against the use of negative language towards our MPs. That's a leader. That's what a leader does. He says he is cautioning. I'm sure that I am almost certain that some important people in the NDC must have phoned Dr. Duffour and said, have you seen the president's statement, President Mahama's statement? Please, you need to do something about it. But why did he write that? I'm sure there's been conversations going on in there around this matter. I'm sure that President Mahama has been taken over by the radicals. So as a president, he issues statements using negative language against NDC MPs. You can't do that. Okay, it goes on. While it may be tempting to vent our frustrations in this way, I do not believe that it will help us find a solution to our challenges and reach a common ground that will position our great party for victory in 2024. Dr. Duffour says, let us strive to approach the issues at hand with dignity and respect. Let us come together in a spirit of sobriety and work towards finding a way out of this difficult situation. A united house stands tall, but a divided one crumbles and falls. That's what leaders do. That's what leaders do. This statement is more presidential than President Mahama's. They are betrayed us, and their approach and for their personal benefit and their parochial interest. A president talks like that. Oh, maybe we should have a school to train presidential handlers, and we should have some qualification for people who want to be handlers of a president, former president, so that they understand the rules. Don't they watch CNN and Sky News? Don't they watch it? You get a president to write that kind of language. We never even heard Rawlings writing, talking like that. We never heard Rawlings writing a statement and doing that. Because the people there, and I'll talk about that tonight, about the NDC leadership gaps. Valerie Saki and Joyce Ababio, who were in the Rawlings Castle writing for him, they understood what is presidential and scholarly language. Not they have voted with their parochial interest and personal interest. They have betrayed our party. Oh, listen to this beautifully written. He said he agrees with NDC position. Government needs to downsize. But he says don't use negative language against our MPs. And he says it is tempting to do that. So leadership must rise above the temptation. Allow foot soldiers to do that. But leadership must rise above the temptation.